welcome. Please relax. How are you doing tonight, Guillermo? You all right?
I'm doing good, Jimmy. I'm doing good.
You feeling well? You look.
Yeah, I'm feeling good.
I think we're all breathing a collective sigh of relief today because we didn't fire any nuclear weapons overnight, you know? That's good. The world's still spinning for now. Our long and less than necessary international nightmare has been postponed for at least 2 weeks. Last night, the all-hell ultimatum Trump typed out with his little Vienna sausage fingers was delayed after he claims he made a ceasefire agreement with Iran. Once again, he made a big threat and backed off like your dad threatening to pull the car over and turn it around. And that's why he's the winner of the first ever FIFA Peace Prize. He deserved it. Thankfully, we got a Taco Tuesday instead of a War Crimes Wednesday. Trump claimed that Iran agreed to open the effing Strait, although we've seen no evidence of that. And he has kindly decided not to end their civilization, so praise be to Allah. What a time to be alive. A man who has the nuclear codes written on his stomach in ketchup has the power to wipe a whole country off the map. And of course, the president has declared total and complete victory. He said we've met and exceeded all military objectives, even though the chief energy advisor for Gulf tonight, the American oil company, said there's only a trickle of oil going through the Strait of Hormuz. But you know what? At Trump's age, a trickle is pretty good. Last night, Trump wrote, a big day for world peace. Iran wants it to happen. They've had enough. Likewise, so has everyone else. Okay, that part is true. Big money will be made. Iran can start the reconstruction process. We'll be loading up with supplies of all kinds. I think they call that looting. And just hanging around in order to make sure that everything goes well. He's just hanging around. He started with a catastrophe and he ended with an apostrophe. Hey, sorry I threatened to kill your civilization. Let's hang out. You want to play Xbox or something? He seems to think that he can threaten to kill an entire civilization and then they're going to be totally cool with it the next day. I'm not sure he's getting this. Let me put this into terms you might be able to understand, Mr. President. Remember how you cheated on Melania with a porn star right after she gave birth to Barron, and now you guys sleep in separate bedrooms and she looks at you like Vin Diesel looks at The Rock? This is that type of situation. It's not going away. But according to the gang at the Hannity show, the ceasefire is going great if you ignore all the fire and focus solely on the cease.
And welcome to Hannity. And tonight we begin with this Fox News alert. At this hour, forces in Iran continue to fire missiles at Israel and reportedly at other countries as well. It might take time for news of the ceasefire to reach all of Iran's fractured forces on the ground, or have they violated this ceasefire already? But if the missiles stop, President Trump will have done it again.
With help from his trusted advisor, the Easter Bunny. Someone at Fox has to hate him for them to use that photo in that spot, right? I mean, we got a mole in the edit bay. It's unclear what the plan will be going forward or what the plan was in the first place, but Trump is eager to spin it as a win. 5 days ago, he called Jonathan Karl from ABC News a third-rate reporter. Today, he gave him an exclusive interview on the phone.
I asked him, are you going to be willing to allow the Iranians to charge a toll? They're talking about a $2 million for ship toll through the Strait of Hormuz. And he said to me, well, maybe it will be a joint venture. Maybe it'll be a U.S.-Iranian toll, and we'll each get a piece of it.
That's our Mafia Don, always in for a taste. You have to pay the Ayatollah if you want to get through. This is how he thinks. We'll just go into business together. No hard feelings about killing your whole family. What do you say we start over and partner up, huh? That's my little mullah. Even Trump's Vice President J.D. Vance said this ceasefire is fragile. He said it is like, the ceasefire is like an antique Chesterfield sofa. You have to make love to it softly. J.D. is now in charge of the ceasefire negotiations, along with Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Special Son-in-Law Jared Kushner. What a trio. We'd be better off with Alvin, Simon, and Theodore.
The second thing Ghalibaf said, which, again, I found fascinating, is he said, we refuse to give up the right to enrichment. And I thought to myself, you know what? My wife has the right to skydive. But she doesn't jump out of an airplane because she and I have an agreement that she's not going to do that because I don't want my wife jumping out of an airplane. We don't really concern ourselves with what they claim they have the right to do. We concern ourselves with what they actually do.
I think what he's trying to tell us is that Usha tried to jump out of Air Force Two. And I can't say I blame her. How is this? I mean, really. How is this negotiation even going to work? This is a government of religious fanatics who don't believe in democracy, and they use domestic security forces to terrorize their own citizens, and now we expect Iran to negotiate with them? Never mind. Really, the only way this conflict ends is if Iran gives Trump some kind of award, like the Hormuz Peace Prize, you know? You can put it next to the one he got from Hormel Chili. A lot of Trump's admirers in the media have been trying to assess where we stand after this forced negotiation, but no one laid it out more plainly and perhaps inadvertently than Lawrence Jones from Fox and Friends.
He said that we want to dismantle all major nuclear facilities. That has not happened. The end of uranium enrichment on the soil, they're still enriching. The transfer of the enriched uranium stockpiles out of Iran, that hasn't happened. The acceptance of intrusive international inspections, they're still not willing to do that. And they have not suspended their ballistic missiles program. They're still firing them off.
Lawrence, I think this is good news.
But only because I've had a serious head injury. This good news. Even Fox News is admitting we got nothing out of this. They go back and forth between admitting the truth and trying to ignore the Taco Bellefant in the room.
So Democrats are already saying that this is taco. Trump always chickens out. Let me give you another acronym. Nacho. Never avoids confronting hard obstacles.
Now do quesadilla. I want to... The phrase, this acronym, TACO, I looked it up this afternoon, originated in a story in the Financial Times after one of the many times Trump backed down on tariffs, and it has since sort of taken on a life of its own, and not just here, all over the world.
まずはじゃあこのタコどんな意味なのかと言いますとこちらです。出ますか画面が。トランプ always チキンズアウト。この頭文字を取って TACO タコ。
Our president is such a laughing stock, the Japanese are learning to speak English and Spanish just to keep up with what's going on. But I have to be honest, I don't like this taco thing, this Trump always chickens out, because it puts him in a corner. I congratulate him for chickening out. I think it was the right thing to do. A lot of presidents, after wasting $40 billion and blowing up a school full of children, would stick with it. They would keep going until their demands for the reasons they started this war were met. They would keep bombing until they knew for sure that Iran would stop enriching uranium and murdering protesters, but not Donald Trump. Our president, he looked at the price of gas, he looked at the polls, he said, oops, and he tucked his pointy little tail between his porky pink legs and tiptoed right back out to the golf course. Mission accomplished, everyone. That takes guts right there, you know? So, I mentioned last night, one of the more prominent and more vocal critics of the war in Iran was Pope Leo, but I guess he's feeling pretty good about it now because today Pope Leo caught up with the Harlem Globetrotters. There he is. There's Holy Moses Malone spinning a ball on his finger. Never has a scene at the Vatican felt more like an episode of The Love Boat than that. In Texas, the Republican-led Board of Education would like to add the Bible to the required reading list at public schools. First, they have to redact that gay love thy neighbor stuff, but then they want to put it in the schools. And if these people had their way, there would be three things in every classroom: a Bible, a list of the 10 Commandments, and a painting of the president who broke them all. But we learned today, so much for separation of church and state, that Trump's now former attorney general will not be sworn in on one of those Bibles. Pam Bondi was supposed to testify in front of the House Oversight Committee next week to explain all the shenanigans she shenaned when it came to the release of the Trump Epstein files. But now she will not be sworn in to answer questions under oath. The assistant attorney general wrote, Ms. Bondi no longer holds that office as a result Because Ms. Bondi no longer can testify in her official capacity, the department's position is that the subpoena no longer obligates her to appear on April 14th. So let me get this straight. They dragged Hillary Clinton, someone who never even met Jeffrey Epstein, in to testify under oath. But Pam Bondi, who said she had the whole Epstein client list on her desk and then never showed it to anybody, doesn't make the cut. That makes a lot of sense. By the way, she didn't have time to testify. She's been busy screaming at the teenage manager of a Quiznos for putting Chipotle mayo on her Baja chicken sub. The good news, if there is any good news, is that the price of oil went down today, which means the price of gas will go down. It was the biggest one-day drop in 6 years. And when Trump said big money will be made, he meant it.
Hello, everyone. This is your favorite president, Donald J. Trump. The J is for Jafar, like the hero from Aladdin. My war in Iran, which is not a war, but if it was a war, and it is, it would be the hottest, most fantastic war. We now control the Strait of Hormuz. They call it a strait, which is an old-fashioned term for Lindsey Graham. So straight, the straightest. And now that we own it, I'd like to introduce my newest product, Trump Oil, made with a mix of redaction ink from the Epstein files and the goo that leaks out of Rudy Giuliani's head. Trump Oil is 100% USA black gold. Black. We're allowed to say that again, thanks to me. America now has more oil than P. Diddy's beehole, and I'm passing the savings on to you. Trump Oil comes in 3 exciting flavors: original recipe, Cool Ranch, and a secret batch I mix with the makeup I use to conceal the mysterious bruises that cover every inch of my perfect body. It's like a mocha. Mocha. Come grab a bucket of clean, beautiful Trump Oil. Available exclusively wherever Don Jr. buys that he puts in his hair.
I'll take 2 barrels. We got a fun show for you tonight from the boys. Anthony Starr is here. We have music.
Well, let's have a speaking practice for my
Sure.
preparation.
Fantastic. Just let me know what kind of topic you'd like to chat about, or if you want a random question, we can keep it casual or simulate something more formal, whatever suits you best.
Okay, just a minute. I will tell you the topic of the question and you're gonna ask me. Let's talk about advertisement in part 1. You're gonna ask me question, you gotta give estimated score, and after that you may give feedback.
All right, let's dive in. First question. Do you think advertisements influence what people buy? Why or why not?
I firmly believe that advertisement plays a huge role in the choice of buyers because mostly we don't know what to buy, so the advertisement can be the best guidance, and at the same time it can be a bit misleading sometimes, kind of with the help of that manipulation techniques or some advertising techniques. But it has definitely kind of special impact on our choice of buying.
I'd say that answer sits around a 6. You had clear ideas, though you repeated a bit and had minor grammar slips. For a boost, tighten up phrasing, like saying advertising techniques can be misleading more smoothly. Overall, good content.
Right, ask me another question then.
Of course. What types of advertisements do you find most memorable, and why do they stick with you?
Let me think. I think it's definitely visual ones, the ones that we see mostly on TV or on laptop, on social media, and especially the ones with rhythm, songs, of some kind of audio effects, because I think our brains are designed like this. We easily can remember, or we hardly forget the information with rhyme. Yeah, especially visual ones.
I'd place that around a 6.5. You communicated your point well, especially the link between rhythm and memory. To improve, try streamlining phrases, like our brains easily retain rhymed information. Overall, you're on a solid track.
All right, ask me another question.
Absolutely. In your opinion, do advertisements have a positive or negative effect on society? Why do you think that?
Well, as we know, advertisement is a double-edged sword. It has pros and cons. If I talk about positive sides, of course, it helps us to promote some kind of useful product or useful service, which people may not find it naturally. However, at the same time, most companies can abuse this power. They try to manipulate customers, and they want to actually direct the attention of customers towards even the things that they don't want. I think some products such as, for example, fizzy drinks, energetic drinks, some sorts of fast food can be best examples of this kind of um,
I'd estimate
things.
that I'd estimate that response around a 6. You provided a balanced view, both pros and cons. However, you trailed off at the end. To improve, aim for a clear conclusion and watch grammar, like manipulate customers instead of manipulate customers. Great structure overall.
All right, ask me another question.
Certainly. Do you think advertisements targeted at children should be restricted? Why or why not?
They definitely should be restricted because, as we know, children are not capable of, I think, controlling, filtering information. So, using advertisements can be very detrimental to them because they can be easily manipulated. So there must be some kind of parental supervision, or there must be some kind of restrictions for advertisements aimed at children. Uh, and mostly, as we know, their parents decide for them. However, children also may kind of make their parents to buy some kind of product because they are brainwashed, because they are kind of shown the same kind of video or advertisement reels over and over again. So restricting them can be helpful not only for children themselves, but also the financial status of parents too.
I'd rate that around a 6.5. You expressed a strong stance with clear points, though there were a few grammar slips and a bit of repetition. To improve, tighten phrasing like children are easily influenced by repetitive ads. Great argument development overall.
Okay, ask me another, the last part one question.
Here we go. How do you think advertising will change in the future? What trends do you expect to see?
Let me think. It
No
will
rush.
definitely change tremendously. I think we can see the interference of AI in the future because, as we know, AI is penetrating every part of our life, and advertisement can't be an exception. And maybe the videos or photos that made by AI will be more popular, and the actors or some celebrities who are earning money now out of advertisement are bound to lose their income. I mean that advertisements related income. So I think that's it. Yeah.
I'd score that around a 6.5. You gave an insightful prediction about AI, but you hesitated a bit. To improve, polish the flow, like saying AI generated content might replace celebrity endorsements. Overall, great forward thinking ideas.
So let's move to part 2.
Perfect. For part 2, you'll get a topic and a minute to think, then speak for about 2 minutes. Just let me know when you're ready for the prompt.
Let's see. Which topic I talked last time? The exciting TV trade person. Okay, and the topic is something. Describe a time you saw something interesting on social media. When it was, where you saw it, what you saw, and why it was interesting. I gotta talk about it.
That's a great topic. Take a moment to gather your thoughts, and when you're ready, just jump in and start telling me about that interesting social media moment.
Okay, just a second. Let me take a paper and pen to take some notes.
Of course, take all the time you need.